You ever have one of those moments where a single choice, just one small act, quietly flips your whole world upside down? Only you don't even know it until years later. Yeah, that happened to me. And trust me, nobody in their right mind would have bet on some diner waitress in an apron with arthritis being the reason a story like this could even exist. I'll tell you this much. I never set out to change anybody's life, especially not my own. But looking back, I guess the day I slipped that paper bag of leftovers into the hands of a kid hiding behind the dumpster. Well, that was the day everything started rolling, and it rolled a whole lot farther than I ever expected. Back then the diner was my little universe. Grease on the tiles, old country songs bleeding through a busted jukebox, regulars grumbling about their eggs, and me moving table to table with sore feet and a fake smile stapled on for tips. I'd been there more years than I liked to count, blending into the linoleum. Just a pair of hands and a hairnet refilling their coffee. But every evening, when the lights got dim and the noise died down, I'd sneak out that chipped metal door with a paper sack in hand. Nothing fancy, sometimes just a sandwich, a bruised apple, maybe a slice of pie if I could squirrel it away, and I'd walk down that alley that always smelled like rain and hot garbage, where a boy waited with his back against the bricks, looking like he was built out of shadows and hunger. He never asked for anything, never made a sound, just stared at the ground with those big haunted eyes. You know the look, like the world already decided you weren't worth saving. And maybe he believed it too, at least until I pressed the bag into his hands and nodded. No questions, no speeches, just eat, okay? He barely nodded, like he thought it was some kind of trick that became our ritual. Me feeding him saying nothing, day after day, season after season, sometimes in sleet or blistering heat. Sometimes I left a napkin folded with his name scrawled real small, or a stick figure smiley, because, well, I don't know, maybe I needed to believe he'd feel less invisible that way. Of course the others noticed. The cook grumbling about wasted food, the manager with his greasy hair watching me too close, calling me soft, telling me I was a fool, said, "No good comes from helping strays. They'll forget you the second they're gone." I heard it all, but I kept going, because I was too stubborn to stop and too tired to argue. But you want the real turning point? It's not the kindness, it's the fallout. Because one night the register came up short, not by much but enough for Clayton, the manager, to make a scene, and suddenly everybody's eyes flick over to me and those bags I carried out the back, like maybe I was taking more than leftovers. Like maybe kindness was just another word for stealing. He dragged me into the office, and the words came at me hard and fast. Accusations, threats, the whole 9 yards. And you know what? I couldn't even defend myself. Not really. Because in their eyes, I'd already broken the rules, and folks like me, we don't win arguments, not in places like that. So that was it. After all those years, I walked out with my head low and my apron balled up in my fist. Not even a goodbye. Just the clatter of the door and the empty alley, where the boy waited as always, and I pressed one last bag into his hands, this time with my address written shaky on a napkin inside, in case he ever needed help. He didn't say a word, just stared at me too long, like he might say something, but then he was gone, and honestly I didn't think I'd ever see him again, not in this lifetime. I was just another old lady scraping by, losing jobs and losing hope, cleaning houses, knitting scarves for winters that never seemed to end, stacking cans at the church food pantry, trying to keep myself invisible because it hurt less that way. Years slipped by. You know how they do. Neighbors moved in and out, bills stacked up. Rumors about the crazy diner lady floated through the barber shop and corner store. Some folks pitied me, some folks just looked away, but I kept living quiet, holding on to little rituals, waiting for a knock that never came. You ever wonder if kindness matters at all when nobody remembers it? I did. Plenty in one day. Out of nowhere, autumn wind rattling the windows and my hands wrapped around a mug of weak tea. I heard the slow crunch of gravel outside. Heavy, careful. Didn't sound like the mailman or the neighbors or anybody else who might pull up in a car that nice. And when I peeked through the curtain, I saw the black SUV and my heart kicked. I don't know why. He stepped out. Tall, sharp suit, polished shoes, eyes that could cut right through you, but also looked kind of haunted. And when he met my gaze, I swear my knees nearly buckled. Because in a blink I saw not the man but the boy. Same eyes, same quiet sadness. But now he was standing tall, strong. He looked at me like he was searching for a piece of himself. And I realized he was. I couldn't even speak, just clung to the door frame as he walked up, stopped at the porch, and said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And his voice, God, it was the same but deeper. And suddenly I did remember every bag, every silent nod, every cold night we survived in that alley. He said, "I'm the kid from behind the diner, the one you fed for 7 years. I kept your note. I never forgot. I couldn't show up back then, not when I was just trying to survive, but I made a promise. If I ever got out, I'd find you." And then everything moved too fast. He came inside, noticed the peeling paint, the faded couch, the stacks of bills, but he didn't look at me with pity, not even once. He looked at me like I was the only reason he'd made it, like my ordinary, stubborn kindness had changed the rules for him. He told me about the years I'd missed, learning to code in libraries, working double shifts, building something out of nothing, failing 1,000 times, but always remembering that somewhere, somebody believed he mattered. Even when the world said he didn't. And then, twist of all twists, he set me up in a new place. Warm, bright, safe, filled my kitchen with food, my closet with soft sweaters, paid the bills without saying a word. But that wasn't the real shock. Not by a long shot, no. The real shock was the orphanage he built, in my name, brick by brick, and the day he unveiled it, with the Doyle Home for Children carved over the door. Every camera in town snapping, reporters pushing microphones at him, and him pointing at me. If not for her, I wouldn't be here. She fed me when nobody else would. She taught me dignity when the world tried to take it. I sat in the front row, hands shaking, cheeks burning, tears leaking out in front of everybody. And when the kids, his kids, ran to hug me, calling me Miss Doyle, laughing and shouting, something cracked wide open inside me. Something good. You ever notice how the smallest things, half a sandwich, a smile, a name spoken soft, can echo out for years, ripple out until they become something so much bigger than you ever imagined? That's what happened here. Those paper bags I packed in secret grew into a home, into hope, into a future I never thought I'd see. And let me tell you, some folks might say kindness doesn't matter in this world, that it gets you nowhere, but I've seen different. I've lived it. So now I'll ask you, what would you have done in my shoes? Would you risk your job, your comfort, just to feed one forgotten kid behind a diner? Or would you look away like most folks did, thinking it's not your problem? Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness outlives even the darkest years. Sometimes it changes everything. If this story moved you, let me know your thoughts below. What would you have done? Do you think one act of kindness can truly build a legacy? Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that prove, even now, kindness always finds its way home.